Hey, what's up guys? Now before we start this video here, I want you all, if you can, to make copies of this and to share the hell out of it. And you're going to want to once you see it. Now what's so special about this Secure Team video, you're asking yourselves? And why would you want to take the time to post it up and make a backup copy? Well, firstly, because there's a good chance that NASA will go in and heavily edit what we found, and they've done it before. And secondly, because what we found is going to be the first in what we're calling some of the most solid evidence of buildings and structures on the moon ever found by researchers to date. Hopefully, this will set a new precedent and encourage you guys to begin digging into these LROC images yourselves and continue the work we've started. I can tell you this right now. My jaw dropped when I was searching through this massive database of high-res moon images, and with what can only be described as sheer luck, came across a few craters that upon a closer look uncovered a slew of structures and anomalies that without a doubt are authentic as they come. They should not be there, and there's no possible way that they could be created naturally. You'll see what we mean once you see the first image here, which is without a doubt the smoking gun find of this group of anomalies, period. Speaking of anomalies, in nearly every one of the craters you'll see, we found not just one, but multiple structures and anomalies. So I can only imagine what we're going to find when going through every crater in this database, which will no doubt probably take years. We're talking about giant rectangular buildings and or craft partially buried in the lunar soil, predominant vehicle tracks going up and out of crater bottoms with the vehicles still seen at the end of the tracks, and more. So without further ado, let's get to it. Here's the object up close with the brightness and contrast increased so you can see the structure that's underneath the lunar soil. You can see right here, this is where the object pops out of the soil. This is uncovered. Now right here you can see where this object is going down at an angle, digging into the soil, but you can see the straight edges, straight rectangular edges of this thing going down into the soil, cutting over, going right back up. You can see these square and or circular engravings in the top which follow the craft or building down into the soil, which you can see here engraved. There's 3 squares right here with what look like circles in the middle. You can see the shadow here of the building that's sticking out of the soil, and you can see the rest of this giant object digging itself down into the soil, and it's just amazing. Now you look at this and you tell me this is just our eyes playing tricks on us. You tell me that this thing, which is obviously coming up out of the lunar soil and that can be seen in this giant outline here underneath the soil, tell me that's natural. Here's the object sharpened, and when you sharpen it, it brings out the detail even more of the part of this object that's buried. It brings out these giant square engravings found on this object. I mean, there's no hiding of this thing. It's there. It's sticking out of the lunar soil. There's no question. The only question is, what is it? Is it a building? Is it a crashed alien craft? We don't know. But it's there, and it's sitting in the bottom of this crater. And because there are so many of these images, because there are so many high-res images in this QuickMap database, it would literally take probably 10 years to go through it all and to go over every meter. And I guarantee you that NASA has not been able to go through every one of these images, which is why they probably haven't caught structures like this, or most likely didn't think that someone like us would actually take the time and sit for hours and actually take the time to dig these anomalous structures up. But we did, and you guys can too, and you see what we find when you put in a little effort. Up and to the right of this rectangular object here, if you go right up here, we'll see some sort of track here, and we'll zoom in on that for you. And you can see this track here, which is dug out into the soil. You'll notice that the lunar soil here is dark. That's because it's undisturbed. But in a lot of these moon images, and if you've watched the moon landing Apollo images or videos, you'll notice that when they walk through this dark soil, anytime it's disturbed, the soil underneath it is much brighter, much lighter. And what we can see here is a track where something has gone up, it's curved to the left, then it's made a hard right, it's come up, and you can see here that the track, it actually goes up this way, makes a full turn, and comes back around and overlaps the previous track and cuts to the left here. And we have an object right here that could be what we're looking at. But you can see here, this is common sense whenever you make a track in the snow or the dirt. When you go up and you make a circle like this, the end of this track overlaps the original track, which is exactly what's happening in this image. That's how we know this is a track. This is not just some pixely artifact. Something went up this track, went into a full circle, came back around and crossed back over the original track, which has left the artifact you're seeing here. We'll go to the second image now, where we have found what looks like some sort of large bridge or worm-shaped like structure coming up out of the lunar soil and going back down with a large opening underneath it and a shadow. And you'll see here we've actually highlighted in yellow. The giant bridge structure is right here, and right up to the right of this structure we found what looks like a possible base. And we'll zoom in on both those for you. So let's look at the bridge structure first. Here's the image without the yellow indicators. You might be able to see already this bridge structure here. It kind of comes up like this and then loops back down. Kind of like a roller coaster. Kind of like the first hill of a roller coaster is what it looks like. So here's an up-close shot. This is the farthest in we could zoom on the quick map. And we cropped out this bridge, which you can see here plain as day. You've got your lunar landscape right here in the bottom of this crater. And then plain as day, coming up out, big hill, going upwards just like a roller coaster, and then a big drop here. So I don't know if the aliens are keen to riding roller coasters on the moon. Maybe so. I don't know what they like, but I won't knock them for it. Whatever this is, it's there. You can see the large shadow underneath it here. And you can see the large opening here going through and underneath this large, hilly-looking roller coaster-like structure. Here it is colored in, just to give you a little bit better perspective. Once again, just like the partially buried building, this thing sticks out. I mean, you don't need to color it in, but just for those of you who maybe have bad eyesight or are looking at this on a cell phone or a smaller screen, we've highlighted it for you here. And you can see, it's a definite roller coaster-like structure. It's a hill that goes up and drops back down. We don't know if it's a tunnel. We don't know what it is. But once again, we found another structure just up a few hundred meters and to the right of what looks like a base. This is a similar looking base that or building type structure that has actually been seen on Mars before. Here is the zoomed in view where we can see what look like two giant beam like structures, like two giant beams or tubes, and then two more giant beams crisscrossing over top of it, making sort of a tic-tac-toe like structure. Now, once again, I've never seen anything in nature that creates something that looks like beams crisscrossing one another. But if you find something, please do let me know.